Here we are, Location Luxe. I'm your host, Alan Canas, and here in Season 1, we'll be focused on what we're calling the Great Lifestyle Migration. On each episode, I'll be right here in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Over the last few decades, we've witnessed a great migration for employment and technology development. As such, the need and demand for homes has been among the highest in the country. These migration choices are giving people an extraordinary opportunity to explore new locations, amenities, and lifestyle options. And that's why we're here. Location Luxe. I am so excited to welcome my friend Daniella Stonefield, who is a top realm partner and a top real estate agent in South Carolina. Daniella, thank you so much for joining us today.
Alan, I can't tell you how glad I am to be part of this. It's a wonderful project. Thank you.
I'm a little excited and a little trepidatious, just a little, because typically you're the interviewer and you are so terrific at it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
So, Danielle, we know South Carolina is so much more than a destination location. It is a beautiful lifestyle. But before we get into that, please tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about the changes that are going on with your business.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the first question is, how long do I have, right? So we'll try and make it quick and to the point. So, of course, as you said, my name is Daniella Stonefield, and my partner, Rick Hollifield, who is just off camera. He and I work with our clients together, and that is one of the things that our clients absolutely love about our process. And so with that, we have been in this business for quite some time, but we just recently rebranded to Eleve Properties. And that idea of innovation and inspiration and elevation is really what bore that out into Eleve Properties. And our brokerage, of course, still is Charter One, which is the top brokerage in this area by a lot. I don't want to be a little braggadocious, but I can't help it. It's a great company, and it's kind of the engine under the hood, if you will.
So why did you decide to move to South Carolina and then decide to stay?
This area is it's kind of this, not to get woo-woo, but it's almost like this energy vortex. You get here and it just, if you connect to it, there's just nowhere else like it. What actually brought me here originally, funny enough, was an interest in one of our sister cities, which is Savannah, Georgia, just to our south. That was actually what turned me on to this region in the first place. I love Savannah. We go there all the time. But the Low Country, which is sort of this region where I'm standing, that's Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, really south of Charleston, all the way down to Savannah. That's also our service area. But that is really the place where we live and work and play and do all the great things that there are to do here.
And Daniella, speaking about where you're standing, where are you right now? It's gorgeous.
Thank you, it is. So behind me is the Shelter Cove Marina. This is such a beautiful place. Lining this walkway, which is quite long, are shops, restaurants. There's a lot of live music here. You can come here in the summers and see the Shelter Cove fireworks. It's just a phenomenal place. And this is also residential and commercial. So people have their offices here, they have their homes, their second homes. It's a bustling area.
What is the culture like? The downtown, the restaurants, the golfing resorts, and actually the schools, because you have younger people moving in.
We don't really have what I call an anchor city. We don't really have a sort of central hub that everything else flows from. In some ways, the place that has the most national and international eyeballs, if you will, awareness, is Hilton Head Island, and of course that spreads out through the rest of the area. But by and large, this area is just, it's pockets without a city. As far as downtown and culture and things like that, the actual closest thing that we have to a downtown, if you will, is the historic area of downtown Beaufort, which is north of the Broad River. And that is fabulous. It's dining, it's shopping. It's the second oldest city in South Carolina. So if you want history, you want river, the abundance of the agricultural land that's around here, a little bit more of a residential feel in some ways, Beaufort might be a great choice for you. Bluffton is growing. It has a very low median age. It is just going crazy. And there is a lot of development happening there as well. That is sort of the mainland portion of this area. And then, of course, coming down that sort of crescent along the coast, then you hit Hilton Head Island. And that downtown, as I mentioned, is sort of the Shelter Cove area. We also have an area called Coligny Plaza. A lot of, very touristy, very fun. If you want to play tourist for a day, Coligny is where you go. You can go and grab some ice cream, grab some dinner, do a little bit of beachy shopping, and then go right, speaking of the beach, go right to the beach, because as we know, that's a huge draw for our area. And frankly, because the population is growing so quickly, new schools are going up, it seems, almost every year. Now, of course, that's not quite literally true.
How easy is it to get in and out of South Carolina?
It is getting increasingly easier to get into and out of our low country area. So we've got a number of airports. The Savannah Hilton Head International Airport is the primary airport of this little location, this area. But increasingly, the Hilton Head Airport, which is the most darling airport you ever want to see, it is a single terminal airport. It's just the cutest thing. And actually, it's a little bit more than cute at this point. It is seeing increasing air traffic. Airlines are adding flights to it. There are more and more nonstop or one-stop flights. You can get to Hilton Head directly from a number of cities.
Where are most of your buyers coming from?
Historically, a lot of our buyers, we were the spring break second home destination for places that you could get to in 2 to 4 hours drive time. So that radius has always brought a lot of buyers to our area. So you were looking at Columbia, South Carolina, which of course is our state capital, and Charlotte and Atlanta. But increasingly, we are seeing people come from the Northeast and Midwest are huge drivers in this area. New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Ohio. This is actually the first time in our history, by the way, and you'll be interested in this, that we are seeing more and more of an interest from the West Coast. So we are seeing more interest from Los Angeles, the Bay Area, San Diego, San Francisco, and even Seattle. As this area continues to have increasing levels of awareness on the world stage, we are the tourist stop after the Masters, which is a big deal, and that is the RBC Heritage. That is a huge deal in this area. We paint the Harbor Town Lighthouse plaid. Everybody goes crazy. It's fantastic, so much fun, whether or not you're a golfer. It's such a wonderful thing. And it's just this vibrant place. We were voted the #1 island in America 4 years in a row. That's pretty impressive. Wow. Considering that we have Hawaii.
What are the tax savings there in South Carolina especially compared to California?
So this is a great topic because we are extremely favorable. So when people ask this, I know some of my colleagues in other states, they kind of steer the conversation away from this, but we are actually very, very glad to have this conversation. We are actually at about half the national average where property tax is concerned. So we're just slightly over 0.5% of the fair market value of the house on average. Now, of course, that fluctuates not only based on where you actually land, but whether or not it's a primary or a second home. We have an exemption in place for primary homeowners that makes it extremely favorable to call South Carolina your home. In terms of income taxes, we really follow federal guidelines. It's a very standardized, very simplified system that we have here. We do have a lot of exemptions as well, especially for our retired folks and people who are getting up a little bit in age, pension, things like that. There's a lot of things to consider there because there are a lot of tax benefits. Fortunately, where our taxes are concerned, there are a lot of surprises for people, and they're almost always good ones, which you can't always say when you're talking about this topic.
That's true. And Daniella, tell us about the seasonal activities that you have there. So we know golfing is one. What additional seasonal activities are going on in South Carolina?
Yes, well, of course, we can't go and talk about the Hilton Head area without talking about golfing. That is like one of the major things, but it is a misconception that that is all we have. You know, when I talk to people, assuming that they even know where we are, that's number one. But number two is, if they do, they really think two things. Or let's say three, to be fair. Golf, retirees, beach. Now, do we have those things? Yes, indeed we do, and all of them are fabulous, but we have so much more than that. We have 11 miles of beaches, so many water sports. We've got kayaking, sailing, paddleboarding, fishing, shrimping, crabbing, you name it. If the water has it, we have it. Golf, of course, as we talked about, we have over 40 courses in the area. Tennis and pickleball, we have over 300 courts, and we have 6 major facilities. Palmetto Dunes, which actually is our neighborhood where we live, it's an oceanfront resort, fabulous place. It has 24 pickleball courts. That sport has just exploded, and Hilton Head has really embraced it. Yes, exactly. Biking trails, nearly 70 miles, sport fishing, birding, we have disc golf, we have a skate park, we have farmers markets, agriculture. It's such a rich and abundant lifestyle, which, as you can tell, I'm excited. There's a reason for that, because I get to live here.
Daniella, what are you seeing in appreciation year after year?
Yeah, so last year it was actually surprisingly low. So year over year, we're looking at about 7% appreciation market-wide. Now, the real appreciation that we're seeing is on the lower end, price-wise. Those are the homes that are just being gobbled up, grabbed up, and you can imagine why that would be the case, because we have a lot of young families that move in and about the area, and they have to be here, so they have to buy.
What can a buyer looking to migrate to South Carolina expect?
That's a great question, and I have to answer it first with a question, and that is, what exactly do you want your life to look like? This is the question that we ask all of our buyers, because we have such a varied and diverse area, and where you end up and what's going to make you happy ultimately is dependent upon what do you want to see when you wake up in the morning, when you open your eyes, what do you look out at? What is your view? What can you do? Do you want to be able to walk somewhere? How important is the beach? That's a number one question. Do you golf? What kinds of things do you want to be involved in? So all of these questions are going to inform where you end up. The Hilton Head Island is the only choice for some people. For other people, it's not the right call. And that just depends on what you want. But in terms of price point, that's also going to depend on the answer to that question. Let's assume that you want to be on the ocean. You want to be on the ocean, you need to be ready to spend at a minimum about $5 million right now, all the way up to 10. So it's not a massive range as far as other beach markets can go, but that's about what you're looking at. You get back off the ocean, it's pretty fair game. If you have $500,000 to spend, we can get you something very nice. If you have $1 million, we can get you something very, very nice. And you can probably walk, or at the very least bike to the beach.
What conditions are homes being put on the market? Are they renovated? Are they as is?
The answer is yes and yes. Are they renovated? Sometimes. Are they as is? Sometimes. It really just depends. And of course, we as professionals want to present our product as beautifully and pristinely as humanly possible. And Rick and I actually, we've become known as people who kind of fix things a little bit. A lot of these homes sometimes maybe have been on the market for a very long time. And then in other cases, you get brand new. Some people do spec in this market. It's not a huge part of our inventory, but some people do spec. We do have new builds that are going up in kind of a mid-level price point.
Can you tell me a little bit about the architectural style that somebody could be expecting when they are looking to buy in South Carolina?
You'll see a lot of the styling that we have in this area is what you consider the low country look, right? It's that sprawling front porch, nice and big. It's got the railing. You can see your neighbors. It looks across the lawn. You probably see some tabby stucco, maybe some board and batten siding. It's a wonderful coastal chic look. And we have a lot of condos. For whatever reason, we call them villas in this market. It sounds great. I don't know where it came from, but when you hear villa, that's what we're talking about. Condos and townhomes. We have a lot of attached properties, of course. We have a wide range of architectural styles, Mediterranean, Spanish, Georgian, the list goes on. You see a lot of different things here because people come from all over and they bring their style.
Danielle, it sounds wonderful. There's something for everybody. One of the questions I ask everybody that comes on the show is, what is your favorite buyer story?
So early in my career, I had a woman, and we've done a number of deals together over the years, but she really didn't know the area and she didn't know what she wanted. And after showing her over 40 homes, she was one of my first buyers, 40 homes in a number of neighborhoods, scratching this, missing that, any number of things. One day, and we've been working together for quite some time at this point, we finally found her home. And what she shared with me is her father had left her money so that she could buy her very own home on Hilton Head because they used to vacation here when she was a child. And she started to cry when I handed her the keys and she thanked me. And throughout our whole process, she had never told me that that was part of her story. But when I learned that, that was when I really connected to this business.
Oh, that's great. Daniella, I want to thank you for being on today's episode of Location Luxe. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is all mine, Alan. Thank you so very much for having me. I'm so glad to have been able to share a little bit of information about our slice of paradise with you.
Hello, I'm Helene Oberman, Managing Director of Interior Design Magazine, and I'd like to welcome you to Product Live. This is our series that delves into the products and trends, grabbing the industry, and in real time, look at the minds behind the design. At Williams-Sonoma Inc., they are dedicated to transforming spaces through the best in design and quality. After entering the contract market, their design and engineering teams have been collaborating to elevate their product offerings to meet commercial standards. And with eight different brands at their fingertips, they have a specialized team to help support your design business and work with you to create solutions tailored to all of your project needs, no matter the scale. With me today to discuss their latest contract product offerings is Paul Gawley, Design Director for Business to Business. Welcome, Paul. It's lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So first off, today we're going to explore a new banquet chair of all things that was designed across 3 of the WSI brands, which is Williams-Sonoma Home, Pottery Barn, and West Elm. But this is actually a continuation for Williams-Sonoma Inc. to design products across brands that really offer complete solutions for the commercial market. So Paul, it might be nice to really briefly touch on some of the earlier cross-branded products from WSI.
Sure, I'd love to. I think the most recent relevant program like that is our banquet program. It's a made-to-order banquet program. We have products across all 3 brands, so Pottery Barn, West Elm, and Williams-Sonoma Home. So because of that, we have a range of aesthetics, which is a big strength of ours. But all of them have stock fabrics or the MTO option, and they're all fully configurable. So you could have 1, 2, 3 seats, you can have corners, you can have rounds, and you can do any variety of layouts that you need for your project.
Okay, so going from the banquet to the banquet, right? So I know we've all sort of encountered those kind of drab banquet chairs from all the countless events that we've been going to through all the years. But Paul, what was really the motivation for WSI to tackle the redesign of the classic banquet chair?
It's also a big opportunity, right? Because there are a lot of them, and it's a sort of a widely used product, which is great for us. So our lens, honestly, from the beginning was engineering. We knew we sort of led from an engineering lens because we knew that these had to be durable. That was probably the most important thing, and then they had to be beautiful. So our director of engineering actually personally led the search for the right manufacturing partner. And after a lot of research, we landed on a partner that we're thrilled with and we feel confident about. And then aesthetically, obviously we can leverage the strength of our 3 brands, which I can touch on that. And then also from a fabric standpoint, that was a really important thing for us too, that we partnered with Culp fabrics to provide fabrics for all of these chairs. So all the chairs, the fabrics are moisture resistant, stain resistant, and in case of 2 of them are also antimicrobial.
So obviously, you have a great engineering team,
right?
But of course, nothing is ever easy. And the redesign actually ultimately became a design challenge. And I'm curious how the WSI team overcame it.
So from a design standpoint, we really were focused on providing 3 unique voices within these chairs. A lot of these chairs look sort of cookie cutter, and we really wanted to create 3 unique options that spoke to our 3 brands.
You know, I really appreciate the ethos of the company, that you do not go into design looking to do something simple and easy, because anyone could do that. But I do know for WSI that you're sort of always up for the challenge, and you understand that it really takes a journey to get to the beauty of the final product design. And that certainly comes through in the 12 months of development for this chair. But if, you know, I know everyone's like, okay, so we want to see the chair. So with this chair, like I said, it came across from 3 different brands. So Williams-Sonoma Home, Pottery Barn, and West Elm. And we should really go into some of the specific details, but I also want to throw out a fun fact for, of course, our audience. So like all your B2B products, they're named after old Hollywood icons. And
Right.
so I would love for them to guess who they're named after as we go through them. And of course, the first one is Garson, correct? And that's for Pottery Barn. So Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay. The Garson chair is a sort of a simple, clean, familiar design. So what's good about that is you can flex it into a variety of spaces: a modern space, an industrial space, even a transitional space. It has a durable frame construction, steel tube with powder coats, available in 2 finishes, a black and a taupe. And then the fabric is a culp fabric, sort of a leather look, which is moisture resistant, stain resistant, and also antimicrobial, which is good in today's world. And the chair stacks 8 high, which is great.
So did everyone guess who Garson was named after? So for the next one, we have Martin, which was for West Elm.
So the West Elm chair, the Martin chair, is more shapely. It's a little more modern, a little more decorator, which is so it'll work across spaces like that. This one has an aluminum frame, and it actually has a fabric instead of a faux leather, but it's also culp, so it's stain resistant and moisture resistant. And this one stacks up to 6 high.
So I have to say that I really do love that rounded shape, and maybe it just reminds me of like Dean Martin and his hips a little bit. So, but for the third and final chair, Fontaine, which is for Williams-Sonoma Home, I love this sort of, maybe whereas Garson's a little masculine, Fontaine comes across a little feminine, correct?
Yes, sort of a feminine, like a mid-century feminine look. So again, it's like all these chairs, it can flex into a variety of spaces. It can go sort of that mid-century thing, but it can also feel a little more decorator, or even traditional, I would argue. So it's an aluminum frame, also powder coated, has a faux leather fabric from culp, which is again stain resistant, moisture resistant, and antimicrobial. And this chair stacks 5 high.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's named after Joan Fontaine. And I do like that it almost has that sort of beautiful neckline of a dress in a way, if you think about it, which comes across. And Culp is actually one of those brands that you've been partnering with for some of, well, I know it was for the banquette as well, correct?
Yes, exactly. We've had a great response to their fabrics. They're industry leaders. They're durable. They're beautiful. So we feel like it's a great choice, and they're affordable. So sort of a perfect marriage.
But of course, we all know that designers love to customize, correct? And wondering if the banquet chair offers a designer the ability to personalize the final design.
Yes, it does. I mean, we're excited about a couple of things. We're excited that we have an in-stock version, so you don't have to wait. If you like what we have, you don't have to wait months and months and months. But of course, it's fully customizable COM program as well.
So Paul, I'm curious, with this beautiful banquet chair, how do you ultimately see it being utilized?
I think what's great about this program is its versatility. So it's obviously going to be used in sort of a conference setting, but we also see it being used in a house of worship or in a restaurant, just any kind of range of public settings. And I think because the design is attractive and it doesn't look like just a kind of an off-the-shelf commodity banquet chair, I think it does give it that versatility.
No, I mean, it's great. It's so much better than anything that I've seen. And I know that I would love to see it at some of the events I hope to get to once we're allowed out there again. Paul, obviously, the chair can be utilized in a lot of different ways and a lot of different manners. And it really speaks to the flexibility and overall ease that you're offering both to the designer and to the product itself in terms of how it can be utilized.
Yes. Yeah, our banquet chair program is really a storage of the marriage of tested durability, design, and ease of ordering. So it's really all about giving solutions to the designers.
Continuing your mission to really design innovative solutions for the contract market, let's discuss yet another new product offering for WSI, which is a new tabletop. So we understand that live materials, while beautiful, just don't perform as well within the commercial sector. So really, how have you been thinking about the elevation of the quality of materials you're incorporating into your products?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nose. Everyone loves marble tabletops, but they're prone to staining. Is this especially a big problem? So we focused on solving that problem by developing a faux marble top that achieves the look of marble, but has a much higher performance when it comes to staining. Our testing revealed that these materials perform much better while also achieving the look. And then another benefit is that we realized real cost savings with these tops, which we were able to pass on to the customers.
No, and of course, and I think the faux marble tabletop sort of offers the look and feel of the real deal, but really it is about the performance and the cost that designers can get when specifying this product.
Exactly.
But I know, so it comes in 2 colors, and you've also offered it in a wide variety of sizes that really can also accommodate a lot of designers' needs.
Yeah, exactly. It comes in black and white marble, so 2 classic choices. And then when we introduced this program, we were able to expand our tabletop sizes. So we have a range of round and square sizes, and we've also introduced an ADA compliant top. So it's really an exciting program. We also have high dining tables as well. So we really look at ourselves as a kind of a full stop restaurant table choice for people.
No, of course. And it's also compatible with several different table bases, correct? That are part
Yeah,
of it.
exactly. Yes, it's compatible with several bases. We currently have our Orbit and Branch tables, which are 2 of our best sellers. And then as we're rolling out future tables, it'll also be compatible there. So
no, and like you just said, I think it's great that you guys can become sort of a great resource for designers for really all their sort of bistro table, restaurant table needs moving forward. So once again, once we could get back out there and designers are designing some amazing spaces that we can eat at, please make sure to go to WSI to get that faux marble tabletop. But I know you can't offer a little sneak peek of what's happening, but I know you guys have some really amazing things sort of in the works to really continue this journey into creating some great offerings for the contract market.
yeah, definitely. We definitely do. So we're excited. We got a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline. We're excited to share with the world. So.
Well, Paul, I want to say thank you so much for your time and your insight into the great new banquet chair that I want to sit in very, very soon. And of course, to your new faux marble tabletops. And to our audience out there, please make sure to check out the Williams-Sonoma Inc. B2B website to learn more about these products and more.
You're in Austin, Texas, fastest growing city in the country. And then you've got companies moving in, large tech companies. There's a spotlight on Austin right now. What's that like as a designer designing in Austin?
It's pretty amazing. It's seeing the process of the skyline even changing. I call it our big little city because it is one of those cities that I feel like I can go anywhere by myself. If I was going to meet somebody for happy hour or they weren't there for 30 minutes, I would still go to that place and be by myself and run into like 10 different people I knew.
I was up last night thinking about thinking about like everything you've overcome in the last 10 years, or you can say overcome things that transformed you. I mean, beat cancer, Bo, right? You become a mother when you weren't even sure you could, right? And then you almost lose your son.
I guess with Bo, like it's one of those things that we knew we would be happy even if we didn't have any kids, because we have a lot of nieces and nephews, we have godchildren. When you guys go to the basketball game, you'll see we have so much love from players and kids. So we got to the point where we're like, okay, if we have a kid, we have a kid. If we don't, we don't. We're gonna be happy. We love each other anyways. And so when we found out we were pregnant, like it was just, I mean, it was mind blowing. I made a comment, I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but you know, I'm like, well, I haven't been through anything. And then they're like, well, no, you've been through plenty. Because sometimes I just keep going. Like I don't dwell in that past, but it does help shape who I am like here right now.
And then just this past year, 2020, the self-discovery in terms of understanding your place in racial justice, equity. I mean, I don't know what else, what more transformation you can sustain or go through. And I remember specifically you saying, you know, like, Doug, I really hope this isn't just a flash in the pan. Like, I really hope that the movement towards equity and inclusion is truly a movement.
When you start to think about diversity in design and then, well, why am I an interior designer? Like how, if I didn't see anybody who looked like me, like why did I become a designer? Well, my dad was in outside sales, and so he sold building supplies. So I grew up with like sheetrock and like studs and things like as samples and playing with them. And then going and driving around if he had to do claim calls or anything, seeing that, you know, he was like, his product was on that home and that I could be part of that building and process. As a designer, I do hope that people realize that we're a legit profession. Like, and I feel like that doesn't have to do with the color of your skin, or I believe that once people realize that you can go to college for interior design, that you can become a licensed designer, that, you know, you work in spaces that are the healthcare spaces, and I feel like then that might help with the diversity part. So if we can continue to let parents know that whenever their, you know, little brown girl comes home and says, I want to be an interior designer, that their mom's like, well, you want to be on HGTV? It's like, no, I can go to college and I can do all these other things. And so I think that's part of it too. It's like always advocating for what we do. So that's one of the big things that I'm hoping for our industry, is that we can continue to advocate for what we do.
When you were talking about your parents growing up and your grandparents building this house, owning this land on the Black side of town, there was something that I thought I was hearing for the first time when you were talking about the intentionality behind some of the segregation.
Oh, yeah.
And when you don't think about that, but like, wow, the role that architecture and design actually played in this, right? It's like, whoa, you know, nobody really speaks about that. But that really piqued my interest in terms of just like, man, there's a whole story there that's really not being told, that is a shameful story, right?
It gave me the chills, because I'm glad you brought this up, because I didn't know how we would discuss it. And like, so, you know, we're designers, so we see it that way. But yes, design has played a role in thinking, like when I watch a documentary and I see, you know, the colored restrooms or the colored water fountains, my thought is a designer had to think about that. They had to physically draw separation of people based on the color of somebody's skin on a set of blueprints and putting that together, and like the thought process of being, I mean, some of those designers are probably still alive, or architects are still around and alive. Like that's a part, my mom was part of that, where she knew that, you know, she couldn't go into the department store through the front door. So yeah,
that is a whole world out there that is just shocking. Tell me, what is the most rewarding part of your career as a designer?
I think the most rewarding part is creating, but then also like being able to inspire other people when they walk into the space or make them feel like a certain way. So it's all about the human connection. And I think having people come into your space and knowing that they're going to be taken care of is important to me. So I'm inspired by the users and the people that are actually physically using the space, because if it can be pretty, but it can be uncomfortable. It can be pretty, but it can't be functional. So I think that that's why I love what I do. And honestly, the reason I'm a designer is because I like people. And it's team. I always say I can tell somebody who's played a team sport when we're working in the design space. So I'm working with contractors, I'm working with architects, I'm working with lighting consultants, I'm working with my flooring reps or installers, I'm working with my furniture dealers. So there's a lot of different players, and it's not just, there's no I in team. You are working with all these different consultants and team members to come together to create a space. And that's the beauty of it. It's never, when you see something, you think about all those different players and how they communicated to execute it.
I just love that quote. I went into design because I like people.
We're not always designing the Taj Mahals or the things that are in the interior design magazines. Like, I have to remember that too, as me as and I say simple designer, but a functional designer is okay, and that's enough. And it's enough because it helps people with their spaces. So those are things I have to remember.